thing I want to do is, of course, give announcements. Look, I just want to make sure people are aware of the fact that we have a live briefing. What was transpiring at Space Lab has been resolved. So we do have the live briefing back on Space Lab Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to encourage everyone, look, go into Slack. If you're not in Detroit, that's fine. If you are in Detroit, even better, invite people to that live event. Look, the live event is where we win. The live event is where people see that it's not just talking heads on Zoom and glad bags, but it's actual individuals who are excited, enthusiastic, like it's real, right? Success is taking place is real. So I want to encourage individuals to please do take advantage of that briefing, okay? I received a couple text messages today about Saturday at 3 p.m. I did not have an open house scheduled for Saturday at 3, but guess what? Tonight, I'm going to put it on the calendar. So Saturday at 3 o'clock, we will have an open house where we'll go over the services, company. We'll drop a hint in terms of, if individuals who are interested in the opportunity to be refers, we're going to make sure that's aware of. People are aware of that. Of course, we have an open house tonight at 8:30. I'm really excited on 10 about that. I'm looking forward to that. Welcome, Chef McDowell. And then, of course, we have the Christmas ugly sweater get together that is transpiring on the 15th at 7 p.m. at Space Lab. Come out, network, get involved, shake hands, get to know your business partners who are out here crushing it. Look, man, it's hard to stunt because when you stunt and you're part of things, you sound like you're arrogant. But the reality matter is, it is what it is. It's time for us to stunt a little bit. We are the #1 direct selling organization in Michigan. We are the #1 B2B organization in Michigan. And per capita, we are the #1 B2B organization in the entire company. And look, that's not Jawan Buford. That's our team members out here crushing it, right? So definitely make sure you're in that space so you can participate and meet the individuals who are the tip of the spear, who are leading this thing and having success in the business. So I want to encourage everyone to do that. Like, show up, show out, have a good time. We're going to relax, have fun, listen to music, enjoy each other's company. Thank you, Ms. Webb, for putting it in the chat room. You want to make sure you register for that event, right? It'll be well worth your time. So I want to encourage individuals to do that. Moving forward, after announcements, we are also going to talk about the incentives and bonuses. So I'm going to ask somebody to volunteer to do that because look, Jawan Buford can't do everything. And I'll be transparent with you. I don't pay attention to bonuses, and I know it sounds bad. I'll never say it out loud to corporate. Man, I just enroll members and help other people do the same. And I know I'm going to get paid. So I don't, the bonuses are like icing on the cake. But still, we need people to be aware of all the different incentives and bonuses that are on the table. Like, there's still over $1,500 to $2,000 in bonuses that many of us can qualify for right now. So you want to make sure you're aware of those things. And between now and next week, we're going to get that together. But look, go to your Ellis Engage, go to resources, go to incentives and bonuses. You'll be surprised how little was actually required to earn some of these bonuses. It's actually insane. They're just throwing money at us right now. So I want to make sure people are aware of these incentives and bonuses that are on the table. Welcome, Dr. Roman. Welcome, Ms. Ellis. Glad to have you. All right. So normally, you know what I would do. I would get into the furniture and I would get into Performance Club qualifiers. To be transparent with you, I've been doing back-to-back appointments up until now, so I don't even have the Performance Club qualifying screen up here. But we will definitely be doing shout-outs in Slack. We'll definitely be doing shout-outs the next time. But what I want to get into tonight was actually motivated by Mr. Anthony Kool-Aid Temple, as well as 3 other individuals that I had conversations with over the last 4 business days. And what I want to talk about tonight is how to approach Reds. Now, what do I mean by that? How to approach Reds. You have in our industry, people characterize people as Reds, Greens, and Blues. Who are the Reds? The Reds are the people in your network who are more successful than you, or in their heads, they believe they're more successful than you. Because If look, we know for a lot of people, perception is reality, right? And oftentimes the reds are the people who are on our chicken list. It's the people that we may be intimidated by, we may be very respectful of, maybe be a little bit scared to approach them because we figure they're already successful. They already have access to attorneys. They already have access to money. They've already crushing it. Why would they take an interest in what we're doing? Right? I know that's what's going through many of your heads, which is why you have not approached the politicians in your neighborhood, which is why you haven't approached the multimillionaires in your network, which is why you have not approached individuals who have businesses internationally, which is why you have not approached mentors and people whom you look up to. We're going to talk about how to deal with that tonight. The greens are the people who are sidelining you. These are oftentimes your family and friends, people that you grew up with, people that you work with. You know, they're kind of like on the same level with you. And there's a way you should approach them too, but that's not the purpose of tonight. But no, the way you approach people who are sidelined to you, greens, you got to be different with them than you are with reds and blues. Just remember this. People who are sidelined to you are greens, people who are kind of like where you're at, close to your state. Maybe they earn a little bit more success, maybe a little bit less. But the bottom line is you're on the same level. Just know this. Greens don't wake up in the morning, ask themselves, how can I make you wealthy today? Okay, that's not what they're thinking. They're not thinking, how in the world can I make sure you're a success, right? They're thinking, you're on the same level as I am. Who are you to tell me about something when, quite frankly, we're on the same level? And your people who are your family and friends, they don't necessarily want to see you fail. Like if you're on your knuckles, they'll help you out because they love you. But they also aren't trying to see you become more successful than them, because if you become more successful than them, you indirectly shine a light on their mediocrity. So some of y'all are getting frustrated with your family and friends, and you shouldn't. We live on a planet Earth. If you don't like it, you got to move to another planet. But that's how your family and friends look at you. There's a book out there by Robert Greene called The Laws of Human Nature. I encourage everyone to read that book. It goes in depth in terms of how to navigate the world with people who are like sidelined to you, right? But there's a way to approach them, but understand at the end of the day, you can't come to your green and say, hey, I found this thing, this great thing. You should take a look at it. Why should I take a look at it? You're just successful as I am. Be aware of that. Then you have your blues. Your blues are people who look up to you. These are people that know you're more successful than them. They respect you. They have regard for you. You can call up someone who's a blue and say, look, I found this service, or I found an investment. Please pay attention to the words I'm using. Take the words opportunity out of your mouths. Today, I got like 5 random phone calls. I got like 20 emails. I don't even know how people are getting my phone number. Some of my phone numbers aren't even available to the public. And people are still calling me up to my, hey, I got this opportunity where money gonna fall from the sky. Like, man, if you do this, like, look, take the word opportunity out your mouth, please. It's a bad word. It's a bad word. The moment people hear you come into them like, I got this opportunity for you, they start thinking scam. I'm just being real. Because there's so much of that BS.com out there, right? The name of the book was The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Okay? But your blues are people that you can call up and say, hey, I found something I'm really excited about. And look, I know you're responsible. I know you're looking to level up. You're looking to grow. And I just would have felt bad if I didn't share it with you. And it may or may not be for, but you owe it to yourself to take a look. Hey, I got this service. And I know you have children. I know you want to start a business. And look, it may or may not be for you, but it helped me do A, B, C, and D. It helped 3-4 other people I know do A, B, C, and D. You should take a look at it. And blues, more than likely, because they look up to you, they'll take your advice and guidance, right? So I'm just giving you like framework. But we're about to go into the reds tonight. We're going to talk about how to approach that chicken list tonight, right? And I'm going to share an approach with you that I've been using for 20 years. I used it when I started my career as an investment advisor. I used it when I started up my real estate company. I utilized it when I started up my publishing company. I utilized it when I started up my PPLSI business. And I'm telling you, it's an approach that works, okay? Oh, one more announcement. The book of the month is 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Ms. Ramirez, I'm so glad you are reading that book. You had no idea. Like, you gave me energy when you told me you were reading a book in a month. Because that's something we're going to talk about more and more moving forward as an organization. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are, and what you are the things that you learn, the things that you read, the things that you consume. Bad in, bad out. Good in, good out. And as Mr. Temple's testimony spoke to, game recognizes game. I'm going to tell you, to this day, one of my favorite recruiting techniques is to go to a coffee shop, put the book of the month on my table, and I just sit back and I wait. And people will walk by where I'm sitting at. They'll look at me. They'll look at the book. They'll pick up the book. They'll start talking to me. And 9 times out of 10, they are a leader or they are very successful entrepreneurs, because that's what successful entrepreneurs and leaders do. They learn and they know how important it is. I cannot tell you how many clients I've taken on just by putting a book in front of me. That's how important reading the book of the month is, and being committed to a regimen of personal and professional development. People recognize there's a reason why Buffett, Gates, Oprah, I mean, name any of them. And if you read their books, their memoirs, if you hear them doing interviews online or on television, inevitably people will ask them what books they're reading. And some of the most successful entrepreneurs, people whom we look up to, are reading, forget a book a month, many of them are reading 3 and 4 books a month. And that's called a huge clue. That's called a huge clue. That is a gem. All right. So let's talk about how to approach Reds. And look, I'm gonna give you a little bit of my background, just because I think I need to provide context. I grew up off between Joy Road in Chicago and Evergreen. And if you drive into that neighborhood, there are not too many standing houses. Okay. There was gunshots every single day. I literally sat on my porch and watched houses get firebombed. Okay, I watched it go down. Every month, a friend of mine caught a bullet. Sometimes they met their maker, sometimes they didn't. I share that not to impress and not to give you a woe is me story, but I'm giving you my background and a type of situation I came up in. So yeah, I have the University of Michigan pedigree, but when I graduated from U of M, my friends are my friends. My neighbors are my neighbors, right? When I became an investment advisor, I could not go to the folks I grew up with and say, hey, give me $1 million to invest. Number one, they were not about investing in the stock market and real estate. They were about investing in other things. Number two, most of my family members, we don't come from money. That's not where we come from. Because I grew up in a poor neighborhood, most of the people that I knew didn't have money legitimately, or they had poor attitudes. I mean, they were people who passed over opportunities repeatedly. You know what that's called? That's called a recipe for super duper failure. There was no way I could be a successful investment advisor with that type of situation. I was not supposed to succeed. My situation was so bad that when I started out as an investment advisor, in the office that I started out in, I'm not going to name them, so I'm not going to sully their name, but let's just say I was the only pepper in there. It was a lot of salt. Every week, there was a pool where they were taking bets about how soon I could quit. So instead of training me, instead of helping me become successful, every week, more money went into a pool about how soon I would quit. Because they knew I didn't have the background to be successful as an investment advisor. I wasn't as articulate as I am today. I wasn't as well read as I am today. Keep in mind, I came from the block. So something that I realized early on, so I did have a little bit of intellect, was that I can't approach my family, friends, and neighbors. I can't succeed that way. I realized right away the only way I was going to win was to approach business owners and people who had money. None of them were in my network. So anyone who was earning over 100K, hell, anyone who was earning over 50K per year on a consistent basis was red to me. Okay. So how did I go from that terrible situation, electricity out in my house? Thank God my eldest daughter just thought I was cool. I was burning candles all the time. She did not know the electricity was out, right? She just knew Dad was cool because he was burning candles all the time. So how did I go from that situation to, in a 3-month period of time, I had 3,000 referrals. Repeat that again. In a 3-month period of time to launch my business, and I've done this with every single business I launch, 3,000 referrals in a 3-month period of time. How did I do that? Let me tell you how I did that. There was a gentleman that was an attorney. He's very well known today. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to brown nose, but he's very tied up in a political atmosphere here. He hangs around the mayor, hangs around governors. He's very, very, very well connected. And I have met him a couple times in passing. And the bottom line is I knew I wasn't on his level. He knew I wasn't on his level. But this is what I know about people who are Reds, people who achieve success, who build, but not everybody, but most people who achieve success. And I'm going to say particularly in our community, and I hope you know what I mean when I say that. Most people in our community have a philosophy of giving back. I leveled up, I want to give back. Most people who are very successful, they reach a certain point in their career where they want to lift as they climb. Or Reds also tend to be pretty arrogant. And everybody has opinions like everyone has armpits. And successful people oftentimes, whether you realize it or not, if you ask them for their opinion on something, they're willing to give it, whether it's out of ignorance or not. And I knew that about Reds already. So how did I approach this attorney? And I want you to look at this as a framework, as a model in terms of how to approach the Reds as PPLSI entrepreneurs. So I called up this attorney and I said, look, I just made an investment that I'm really excited about. I've made a career decision. I'm working with Signature Financial, substitute PPLSI. And I said, look, in order for me to be successful, I have to work with people like you. You're sharp, you're smart, you're accomplished, you've done very well for yourself. And what I'm doing may or may not be for you. And I'm not calling to sell you anything, but I need your feedback. And I know if I'm going to be successful, I need to be able to have a conversation with you so I can really make a decision as to whether or not this is going to work. Look, would you be willing to give me 10, 15 minutes of your time? You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to invest in what I'm doing, but I just need your feedback to tell me whether or not you think this is something that could be of value to people like you. And this attorney said, well, okay, you're not selling me nothing? Nope. You're not coming from my pockets? Nope. You only want 10, 15 minutes? I said, yep. I said, I'll bring Subway. And so I literally went downtown Detroit. That's where his office was at. I walk into his office. This guy has like $50,000 in cash just sitting on his table. Like, I watched clients just walk in and drop off bags of cash in front of them. And I'm looking at the stacks like, oh my God, this is crazy. Anyway, I sat down with him and I shared what I did. And I kept my word. I kept the 15 minutes. Now, being an investment advisor and sharing investment portfolios is very hard, but not here at PPLSI Legal Shield. It's not hard to share what we do in 15 minutes. It's really not, right? We have brochures, we have flip charts, and then if you're a tech person, we got the PowerPoint, right? So basically, I took out like a little pamphlet brochure and I shared with what I did in 15 minutes. And when I got done sharing the information with him, I said, look, what did you like best? That should sound familiar to you. I didn't ask him what he thought. I didn't ask him how he felt, because most people are negative. Most people are negative. If you got on the phone right now, I promise you, you call 100 people, how you feeling today? Most people start telling you about their aches, their pains, all the BS.com is not going right in their life. Most people are not going to speak positive. They're going to talk to you about the BS.com. I didn't ask him what he thought or how he felt. And let me be really transparent with you. I'd already made up my mind I was going to be successful. So I didn't really care how he thought and how he felt anyway. I just wanted the feedback so I could become more effective at the game, because I did want to work with people like him. I asked him what he liked best. He said, I like this, I like that, I like how you're doing this, I like how you're doing that, I like this, like that. And I'm taking notes because he's giving me the blueprint in terms of how to approach people like him. Reds will give you the blueprint. Someone who owns a hospital will give you the blueprint. Someone who's successful in restauranting will give you the blueprint. People who are successful in real estate will give you the blueprint. Successful politicians will give you the blueprint. They'll tell you. They don't feel like you're coming for their back pockets. They'll tell you what they like best. When you go out and approach other successful people, they're giving you the stuff you should approach them with. So that's what I did. And he told me all these things. Like, I'm taking notes. I'm like, I'm going to use this on my next presentation. Oh, this makes sense. This makes sense. Now, let me help you out in terms of our product. When you approach Reds of our product, Reds are not excited about consultation, document review, and showing up to court because they already have access to that. Right? The Reds that I'm taking aim at personally are knocking down $500,000, $1 million, 5 million net worth of, the person I'm getting ready to approach tomorrow, she owns over $1 billion in real estate here in Detroit. She has plenty of access to attorneys and business consultants. That's not why she's going to be interested in what we're doing. But the question I'm going to ask her is this. I'm going to ask her, do you call your attorneys consultants when you want to or when you have to? This is huge. Dr. Roman knows what I'm talking about because I helped her close a Red. And how did I close that Red? The guy that owns the medical clinic, he said, look, he was already paying $3,000 a month for access to a law firm that I'm very familiar with. I know the attorneys at that law firm. Some of them are friends of mine. So he's already accustomed to coming out $30,000 a year for legal expenses. Reds are already paying big money to have access to these resources. So when you approach a Red talking about, hey, I can offer these resources for $100 a month or $160 a month, they're looking at you like, what the hell are you offering me? I'm paying $30,000 a year. How is what you offering me for $100 a month going to be better than what I have? They don't know any better. Which is why you got to stand on confidence and swag. You got to know what you have. Some of y'all don't know what you have. You think you're paying for $100 a month attorneys. No, you're not. Parker and Stanberry out in California serves Walt Disney and Allstate, which is the third or second largest insurance company in the world. You know how wealthy insurance companies are? You know our banks are underwritten by insurance companies. You know, our entire financial system is underwritten by insurance companies are the wealthiest companies in the world. They utilize our network. You got to know that. I mean, are we going to argue about how wealthy Time Warner is? I mean, are we really going to go there? Are we going to argue about how wealthy Dan Gilbert is because he utilizes our network for his HR and legal needs for Rocket Mortgage? Right? You got to know that going in. They don't know that we have 4.5 million people. They don't know we have over 100,000 corporate. They don't know that people inside Legal Shield is bringing in millions of dollars on a monthly basis. Sometimes, depending on the situation, it could be probably even weekly. They don't know that. We're bringing in billions of dollars on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. They don't know that we're paying Parker and Stanberry $2 million per month, and Allstate is paying that same law firm $60,000. One of the wealthiest insurance companies in the world is paying Parker and Stanberry $60,000 a month. But our company is so wealthy that we're paying them $2 million a month. When Parker and Stanberry wakes up in the morning, who's their dad? I forgot it's being recorded. To be more appropriate, more professional. Who are they thinking about? Powers and Chapman is our law firm here in Michigan. Dan Gilbert's company, the Illich family, Beaumont Hospital, Detroit Economic Growth Corporations. These are multi-billion-dollar. So when I'm approaching a Red who thinks they're the ish, I don't care how much money you think. You're not a billionaire. You're not Dan Gilbert. In my mind, I'm thinking, shut the hell up and listen to what I got to say. But I'm not going to say that because they're a Red. So you got to approach a Red differently because they don't know any better. But you need to know. You need to approach a Red with swag and with tenacity. You need to know whether they realize it or not. We can change the fabric of their business and their lives. You're not dealing with little tiny mom and pop attorneys. Like, are they perfect? Do the attorney? They're human beings. I don't care how wealthy an attorney is. They're going to make mistakes. Okay? They're not perfect. They're going to mess up sometimes because they're human beings. They get divorced too, by the way. They get into car accidents too, by the way. They have kids in school dealing with BS.com is going in their schools, by the way. They have issues too, right? They're human beings, right? But you need to understand these attorneys are not small little mom and pop attorneys. If you don't have our plan, you're going to be paying these attorneys, some of them upwards of $1,000 an hour. Because you do realize sometimes our clients are talking to the partners of these law firms. The average Joe off the street, someone who's even earning millions of dollars a year, can't call a partner of a law firm. You're going to talk to one of the junior associates. Sometimes the partners of the law firms are calling our clients, and our clients don't even know it. You need to stand on that. You need to know that going in. But in any respect, you can't approach a red with the ideal that these services are so great because they're already paying for them 9 times out of 10 if they're smart. But trust me, there are a lot of reds who are not. That's why every 5 years we see tall trees burning down, right? We hear about these entrepreneurs and business owners who go out of business because they made stupid mistakes because they think they're so smart, right? So don't get it twisted either. There are reds out here who have built businesses, they've earned money, and they don't have good consultation. But most of them do. And the question you pose to them is, do you call your consultants and attorneys when you want to and when you need to? And we know the answer to that. They only do it when they need to. It's when the BS.com hits the fan. But we know if you want to prevent your teeth from falling out, you should floss. You should brush your teeth. You shouldn't go to the dentist when your molars are falling out your mouth. But that's what most small business owners, including wealthy business owners, are doing. They're waiting till the molars are falling out of their mouths. They're waiting till extreme situations happen before they call because they don't want to pay the $400 an hour. They don't want to pay the $3,000 a month. These business owners really don't want to be paying $30,000 to $100,000 a year for legal services and consulting. They don't. But they're only familiar with one way to get it. So a question that you can ask a red sometimes to corner them is to ask them, do you only call when you need it, you want to? And just know 99.99% of the time, they're only calling when they need to. They don't call attorneys when they get a phone call or a dispute happens with an employee or some BS.com happens on their premises or they get some letter from the IRS or they get some letter from the state of Michigan. Who are they calling? Their friends. They do it too. They call up their friends. They call up other business owners. They try to get advice that way because they don't want to pay the money. I promise you they don't. They're doing the same thing that laypersons do until the stuff hits the fan. Okay, that's what they're doing. Right? That's why if a business owner has an employee approach the HR director talking about going through the divorce, or I just got garnished. Somebody mute Mr. Simple. Okay. When somebody, when one of their employees going through divorce and has something garnished or go through an identity theft situation, you do know that business owner is not going to call their firm to help out that employee. You do know that, right? You do know that a lot of these business owners will have children who will get a traffic ticket and they don't call up their firm to go to court and fight that traffic ticket, right? So the question is, do you call them when you need to or do you want to? When you need or when you want? They're going to say when they need. And the question you can pose is, how much money would it be worth? If your HR director, if your administrative assistant, if your COO, if your CFO could call the attorneys on your behalf and get situations resolved so you don't have to. Because a business owner that's had a lot of success, their time is invaluable. They have to spend their time making CEO decisions, not COO decisions, not administrative assistant decisions. They got to make CEO decisions. A very successful business owner has a COO, CFO, CMO. They got executives. They got people making decisions for them. And some of those decisions are important decisions that can result in some real problems if the decision is wrong. I'll ask a business owner in a minute, who else is making decisions for your business? Who else is dealing with important issues on a daily basis? How much would it be worth to know that in your absence, if they have to make an important decision will be the right decision, or a decision that could save you a $30,000 bill? Because it's an invoicing dispute. It's a dispute for an insurance company. It's a dispute with an employee. Somebody walked in through the door of their building and had a slip and fall. How important is it right then and there? Because it ain't going to get to the CEO first. It ain't going to get to the business owner first. It's going to get to that manager. It's going to get to that administrative assistant. It's going to get to that CFO. It's going to get to the secretary first. That's why when I'm cold calling business owners, oftentimes, I'll call up a company and I'll say, hey, who's the person that makes tax or legal decisions for your business? And 9 times out of 10, that gets me right past the gatekeeper. Because the gatekeeper ain't making those type of decisions. It's a person that has a lot of responsibility to the company, or I go right to the business owner. Right? Because those are CEO decisions. But understand, people in their network, that's what they're doing. I was sitting down with a gentleman a couple months ago. He owns a couple of clothing stores, restaurants. Mr. Temple knows who I'm talking about. He wasn't interested in consultation and document review. He was concerned about having protection against somebody in case someone sues the business now. He wanted that. But the way I got him to get the service, I said, who's the manager that makes decisions when you're not around? And right on time, the manager walks in the middle of our appointment. They start arguing and fighting about a payroll dispute with an employee, threatening about getting sued. And then some conflict happened at one of the restaurants where somebody said they ate something that made them sick, and they started running amok. And they're arguing. The manager's like, man, I don't know how to decide this stuff. You got bad employees, this, that, and the other. And I looked at him and I said, how much is it worth to you, that manager, moving forward, whenever some BS.com happens, they can pick up the phone and talk to an attorney to help them make decisions so it doesn't hurt your business and so they don't bring those headaches to you? He said, y'all do that? I said, yeah. I said, the manager of your restaurant can access this service. Your contractor that buys the clothing for your retail store, if somebody tries to do them wrong or do them dirty, or they try to infringe upon your intellectual property rights, they can call the law firm. So you don't have to deal with those headaches. So you spend time doing the things that are most important. That's how you approach a red. That's the conversation you have with a red when it comes to our service. I'm just giving you context. I'm giving you a little bit of game here. Okay. Now back to the story. So I went and I spoke to the attorney. I asked the attorney, what did you like best? The attorney told me. Now, mind you, I made a promise to this attorney that I didn't do what? I wasn't coming there to sell him. So after the attorney told me what did he like best about what it is I'm doing, I said, great. I said, is it fair to say that other attorneys and other successful litigants and people who own law firms, they have the same issue? He says, yeah. I said, let me ask you a question. Who do you know that could benefit from what it is that we're doing? Who do you know? I'm going to give you a little bit of game. Man, y'all better be taking notes. I don't know what to tell you. People pay me $3,000 an hour to share this. So you want to be silly if you want to. I took out a legal pad. And on my legal pad, I already had numbers 1 through 10. I had name and phone number at the top. I pulled out the legal pad. I put it in front of me. I said, who else do you know? I said, in order for me to build my business, I need your help. I need your help. In order for me to be successful, because you already told me this stuff is valuable, who do you know that could be benefited from this? Now, reds are not going to refer you up because they have chicken lists too. There's levels to this. If someone's earning $1 million, they know people are earning 5 million. Somebody's earning 5 million, they know people are earning 20 million. If they're earning 100, they know people are earning 250. Reds have chicken lists too. They're not going to refer you to the people on their chicken list right off the gate. But most people will refer you sideline or they'll refer you down. People who are less successful than them because they're not afraid of what might happen, and people are sidelined to them. They'll do that. So I'm writing. So I'm like, who do you know? The person gave me a name. I was like, what's their background? What do they do? How do you know them? Oh, great. That's fantastic. Who else? And I kept asking, who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? And he was looking at me, writing down the names and numbers. Right? So for me, it became a game. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? And then I knew what was going to happen. He stopped not at 10, he stopped at 9. You want to know why he stopped at 9? Because now he's thinking about the people whom he respects. He's thinking about the chicken list. He was thinking about the people he was scared to share with me. And this is what I said to him. I said, look, let's say his name was Clark. I said, look, Clark, let me share with you what I'm going to say to these individuals. I'm going to call them up and I'm going to say, hey, Ben, my name's Jawan. You and I don't know each other, but I just had a conversation with Clark. And I shared information with him about how we were able to help him make A, B, C, D, and decisions with our products and services. He was really excited about it. And he thought it was of great value. And I asked him who are the sharp, smart, intelligent people that he likes, knows, and trusts. And he spoke very highly of you. He said, you're an individual that he thought could really benefit from this. Now, let me give you game. Let me give you how Reds think. Reds are competitive in the sense that they always want to know what other people are doing, because if someone's doing something successful, they want that too. If someone's having success with something, they want that too. If somebody has access to knowledge they don't have, they want that knowledge too, right? So I knew that person would take an interest in what I was doing because Clark was using it, and so he saw value in it. And if Clark saw value in it, it must be something good, because Clark's not a slouch. He's successful, right? So I would call up Ben and I'll say, Ben, Clark thought A, B, C, and D was invaluable. I asked him who he knew was sharp, smart, winning. And he said, you. And I said, look, Clark, I asked him for help because I want to work with people like you. If I would take 15, 20 minutes to stop by and share with you what it is that I'm doing, would you be willing to give me 15, 20 minutes? Because I was referred to Ben by Clark, and because I know Ben wants to know what Clark knows, he would grant me the appointment. And that's what I would share with Clark. So I'm letting him know what would happen. I would say, look, Clark, if they're not willing to take the appointment, it's all good. But if they are, I'm going to share the exact same information I share with you with them. So because of that, Clark start feeling more comfortable, right? Because the reason why we are afraid to refer people to Reds in our lives is we are afraid of the Reds' opinion and how it could hurt us, how it could hurt our reputation, how it could hurt us financially. Reds think the exact same way too. They don't want to refer you to their inner network, people who have money, who are successful, because they're scared we might make a fool of them, or they're scared that we might not be who we say we are. So you got to let them know what you're going to say. You got to let them know what you're going to share. And that brings that anxiety down. And that's what I did with that attorney. Because I knew if I could get that red out of his network, it would open the floodgates. If he gave me one red out of his network, he'd be comfortable giving me the rest. And so when he paused at 9 and I shared that, and I said, who else do you know? And I saw him pause again. I was like, hey, Clark, who is that you thinking about right now? I knew who he was thinking about. He was thinking about someone in his network that he wanted to refer me to, but he was scared. And I was like, who's that person? Who's that person you thinking about right now? And sure enough, it was Ben. I was like, how do you know Ben? He told me. He's been successful. He's very successful. I said, what's the best way to get in contact with Ben? Because I know he'd appreciate the fact that you were willing to share information with him that you thought was beneficial. Right? And so because I was able to get him to give me that red, he gave me 4 or 5 other reds. Now, look, this is what I did with Ben. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I didn't go for Ben's pockets either. I called up Ben. I said, look, my name's Jawan. Clark referred me to you. Once again, you already heard the spiel, so I'm not going to go through it again. And he thought you could benefit from what we're sharing. Look, I'm not calling you to sell you anything. I told Clark that I needed his help. I need the help of other individuals who are very successful like yourself. And if I were to take 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to share with you what I shared with Clark, would you be willing to take a look? Because I want to work with people like you. He said you were a good person to talk to that could possibly help me out in terms of making sure I'm making a smart decision in terms of my career. And guess what? I went into Ben's office, and what did I do? I did the exact same thing. So I was asking for referrals from everybody that I was coming in contact with. I was not asking for their back pockets. I was not asking for favors. I was not asking to buy anything. Now, I know some of y'all are crazy. Would you want, if all you're doing is asking for referrals, you're not closing people, how in the world were you earning money? Well, let me tell you what happened. So after Clark took a look at the information, he gave me the referrals. I closed up my legal pad. I said, thank you, Clark. I really appreciate the time you spent. The information you gave me was invaluable. I'm going to let you know when I contact Ben and all these other referrals what transpired. So I want to put him at ease. I want to let him know that I'm going to keep you in the loop so you know how things go, so you know I'm not embarrassing you. You know I'm not out here making a fool of you, right? And as I packed up my stuff and got ready to leave, he was like, wait a minute. I just told you I like A, B, C, and D. Are you not going to, are you going to talk to me more about this so I can decide if I want the service or product? I said, yeah, I'll do it. But I wanted to keep my promise. I told you I wasn't here to sell you, but I can schedule a follow-up and share it with you. And he already told me everything that he thought was great about it. He already told me in so many words that he wanted what I was doing. So I just went back and closed him. I'd already given him the sales presentation. He already knew what it was that I was doing. I just had to go back now and do the paperwork. And so I kept my word. This is so important. Your reputation matters. I know on Facebook, I know on LinkedIn, I know Reds are watching me, which is why I'm careful about what I post. Some of y'all, I'll be looking at your Facebook profile and I'm like, look, Reds are watching you. When I worked in the banking industry, I knew everyone's business because you had to come in and see me. So I knew how much money you had in your accounts. I knew whether or not you were going through a divorce. I knew whether or not you were getting ready to file back. I was all up in your business. I knew everything about everybody because I was as an investment advisor, it's the same thing. I was working with people, so I knew all their business. And the one lesson I learned is they're always watching people. They're taking inventory of people who they want, who they're going to allow in their space. So trust me, the people that you want to take aim at, a lot of them are already aware of you. You just don't know it. Every now and again, I'll post something and a red in the community will say, Juwan, I'm glad you learned that lesson. I get it all the time. And they won't post it publicly. Sometimes they show up my instant messenger or they DM me on LinkedIn. That's good work. Just telling you, if you want to go after your chicken list, the mindset you got to have. So I got the referrals. I was scheduled a follow-up. And I did that over and over and over again. Now, some people gave me one referral. Some people gave me three. I had a guy that owns a tax and accounting firm here in Michigan and Florida, and he has a tax and accounting firm in Georgia. He was so excited, and now this didn't happen initially. He only gave me 10 referrals initially because I kept my word. I let him know and kept him in contact with I kept him aware of everyone I contacted. I didn't ask him for his back pockets. I left the office, and then he did the exact same thing I knew he would do. He says, well, aren't you going to see? I'll come back. I kept my word to him. So he knew I had integrity. He knew he could trust me. Next time I came back to his office and he enrolled in a service that I was offering at the time as an investment advisor, he went in his computer and he printed up a list of 1,000 people. 1,000 people. That's how I launched my practice as an investment advisor. That's what I did. But you know what? I did the same thing with PPLSI when I first joined. That same approach, The way I was able to launch my business and shoot out to director as quickly as I did in less than a handful of months, I was approaching Reds that way. I wasn't going in to sell them. I was going in under the auspices of I need your help. I'm about to make an important investment, a decision. I want to work with people like you because I know Reds like to give their opinions and I know they like to help people. And look, of course, there's some mean, nasty, ignorant people out there that won't, right? We all know people like that. But most people are not like that, right? And so that's what I did. Appointment after appointment after appointment. I just went in with that script and I asked for referrals. And obviously I wasn't playing around, right? This was every day. I was meeting with about 3 to 4 people a day. And mind you, this is back in the day. There was no Zoom. There was no conference calls. I had to get in my car. I had to drive 30, 40 minutes, wait in the lobby for 15 minutes. I arrived early. I waited another 15 minutes and I walked into their office, or I walked into their home, or I walked into the building where they were at. And I just kept asking for referrals. And so 3 months later, I had 3,000 referrals. Because once again, some people gave me 3, some people gave me 10, some people gave me, I see it, Ms. Rogers. Now, look, Ms. Rogers told herself, you know I have nothing but love and respect for Ms. Rogers. But since she put herself out there, I'm going to let her have it. You all are going online, researching knuckleheads who ain't done BS.com in his business. That training is online. It's in our website. The training I gave you tonight is already recorded. It's already there. I recorded this training for the team 6 months ago, and I did it 2 years ago. And then I did it 10 years ago for the entire Michigan market. And people ignored it like people just didn't know me better. So that's my response to that, Ms. Rogers. So y'all ignoring game. People pay me $3,000 an hour for this. I've traveled the United States giving this exact same training where people paid me 4 figures to give it. So you take it for granted if you want, because you know me, because we're in close proximity, and you've seen me pick my nose once. Okay, knock yourself out with that. In any respect, that's what I did. So 3 months later, I had 3,000. I didn't have 3,000 greens. I didn't have 3,000 blues. I had 3,000 people with money, with resources, and with access. So that's why I was able to get referred into a DGC. That's why I was able to get referred into Mork Easter Seals. That's why I was able to get referred into other law firms, get referred into people with deep pockets where other people were happy to get $300 and $200 paydays. I was knocking down 4-figure and 5-figure paydays because of that approach, right? And to this day, I still duplicate it. So when I made up my mind, I wanted to go to the 150K ring. I can't do that. I'm just being real. I can't do that working with people who only have 20 contacts in their phone. Sorry, can't do that. I can't do that with people who are on the struggle couch. You know what I mean, right? They coming home from work, they drinking beer, Hennessy, they watching Netflix, and they on social media all day long. Those people are not going to lead me to the people I need to meet to get to 150K. I got to start working with people who have influence. I got to start working with people who have 1,000, 3,000 contacts. I got to start working with people where they refer me somewhere. The person they refer me to just says, yes, come on in, because I know that person's about their business. And if you refer by them, yeah, I'll give you 15, 20 minutes. And I know the value of what it is we offer. I have posture. You can't tell me nothing about the service. I don't care how much money you earn. I close Mork Easter Seals. You don't have 3,000 employees in your company. Shut the hell up. Now, I'm not going to say that, but I have the posture of knowing what it is that we have. And because I've closed those type of companies, I'm not impressed by the fact that you have an attorney or you have an accountant, you earn a couple $1 million a year. I don't give a rat's ass. You got to have that posture. When you have that posture, you can approach Reds. Now, of course, you don't articulate some of these things, but the thinking, I hope you understand the thinking, right, that I'm going in with. So I'm not intimidated, right? Rip Mason who at the time was the chairman of Mid-Ocean Partners. Let me tell you how Mid-Ocean Partners came to invest and Stone Point Capital upwards of, we're not talking about millions, we're approaching billions now, right? A billion. Rip Mason is one of the wealthiest attorneys in the world. When this guy goes to restaurants, you know how people go to restaurants and they go in through the front door? Those are not the type of restaurants Rip Mason goes to. He goes to restaurants where you have to go underground and enter the restaurants underground, be allowed in, so nobody can see that he's in there. That's the type of money he's standing on. He lives places where he hits a button and then the entire house opens up like a car and he wakes up to the ocean breeze. That's the type of money Rip Mason's standing on. This ain't no $1,000 an hour attorney, okay? Let me tell you how somebody closed Rip Mason, because I need to give y'all the information you need so you can stand on confidence, because some of y'all just run around here scared. You're too intimidated. You're giving people way too much respect. I'm just being real with you. Someone approached Rip Mason randomly. I think it was in New York. He was parking. Some young Legal Shield associate approached him, basically sharing what it is that we do, not knowing Rip Mason is who he is. He gave him a business card. Rip Mason took that business card and he went and did research on the company. Now you hear knuckleheads, I'm going to do my research. Let me tell you what real research is. He went online and looked at our stock price. He went online and he looked at our company KPIs like cash reserves, growth year over year, right? He looked at earnings, things like that's real research. That's research. Sorry, you can't do that on Google. You got to do real research to do that. And then he went and he traveled. He got in whatever expensive vehicle or plane he flies or drives in, and he literally visited Ada, Oklahoma, and went to headquarters because he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that there was a little company out there called Legal Shield that was allowing people to access what other attorneys are charging $20 and $50 and $100,000 for a couple bucks a month. He couldn't believe he was outdone. And so after he did his real research, he went to Ada, Oklahoma and saw that it was real. Now, the people did not know necessarily who he was yet. He went to Mid-Ocean Partners. He says, look, I found this company that's doing A, B, C, and D. And this is where you understand game recognizes game. Johnson & Johnson, AT&T, Sbarro's, Target. I mean, there's Quaker Oats. There's so many companies that this company's been involved with and Decision Analysts have been involved with. This is a company that manages other multi-million and billion-dollar brands. Coca-Cola, Anheuser-Busch. Real money. Y'all scared of these little knuckleheads. We're talking about real money. Rip Mason took the information he learned to them, and they said, we need to invest $500 million in this company immediately. So people are acting crazy about a $49, $99 transaction. And real money looked at our company and said, forget that. $500 million to participate in what y'all doing. Do you smell what I'm cooking here? Do you understand why you don't need to be afraid to approach anyone about what it is that we do? People are silly, want to look at us like we're half-assed, like our services aren't viable, like our business model isn't real. And here you have a company that basically knew nothing about us. And they said, forget that. I'm going to drop $500 million to participate. That's what you stand on. And then another private equity firm, Stone Point Capital, looked at it and said, nah, y'all can't have all of this. And since they both got involved together, because they've been investing over $1 billion. And y'all running around scared to talk to someone who's successful about a little $9,969 transaction. Give me a break. Stop it. So some of y'all like, Juwan, you crazy. I don't know why you talk to people. That's why I talk to people like that. I know what I stand on. I don't give a rat's ass about who you think you are. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and say that, but I'm saying it's the posture you should have. And that is a snapshot about how you approach Reds. That's how you get to 3,000 referrals over a 3-month period of time. Now, I'm not saying you all should do that because some of you don't have the time, right? But even if you just did 1/10 of what I just shared, trust me, you'll be okay with 300 referrals over a 3-month period of time. Maybe you don't have time to approach 4 or 5 Reds like that per day, like I did. Right? I had to eat. I had to, I was burning candles in my house. I didn't have electricity on. I had to do what I had to do. You may not be in that situation, but that's how I did it. That's how I launched my investment advising practice. That's how I went from random Juwan Buford, broke as a joke, family broke as a joke, coming from nothing to being able to build an investment advising practice, being the only pepper in the room, and have clients that were multimillionaires, regardless of their complexion, ethnicity, who are willing to invest with me. That's how I did it. It's the same approach I'm getting ready to take starting in December. I'm calling Reds. I'm calling people who already have net worths in excess of $100 million, $200 million, $500 million. People can really make a difference. Some of them are going to be groups. Some of them are going to be small business owners. Some of them are going to be people who service those type of companies. I'm going to get with them and I'm going to recruit those people. And that's how I'm going to do it. So I just gave you the abbreviated version of a training that normally takes 2 hours to give. I just gave you the nuggets I think could benefit you the most. But that's how you approach Reds. That's how you get in their network. That's how you earn their trust. But more importantly, that's how you get the referrals. Because trust me, you get to 3,000 referrals. You don't ever have to worry about where your next client is coming from for the rest of your business life in PPLSI Legal Shield. Okay. Does this approach work on greens? No, they're going to look at you sideways because they're like, why are you talking to me like that? I'm not that successful. You run a game. Blues are going to look at you like, what have you been drinking tonight? Right? But that's how you approach Reds. And we can have a conversation about how to approach greens and blues and psychology of that. But that is like the mindset you want to go into when you're trying to build your network with Reds. So mark my words, I said it. Just like in April, I said I was going to get that ring in less than a year. I'm going to get that 100K ring in less than a year from now. And I'm telling you the approach I'm going to use. So don't tell me you didn't hear it. I just gave it to you. For your teammates who decided they want to get on the line, don't have them calling me up saying, Mr. Buford, no, you didn't show up tonight, so you're going to catch that L. Right? I don't know what you're doing, watching the game, you doing whatever. You thought that was more important than building your business. Okay, catch that L. You're going to have to listen to this replay. Right? So that's the approach you take. I need your help. I want to work with people like you. You're successful. You've done well. I need your perspective, your opinion. Would you be willing to help me out? I'm not coming to sell you anything. I just need your help. I need your feedback. So I'm trying to make a decision as to whether or not I want to make this a career or the business I'm going to invest myself in. You get the meeting with them. You keep your word. You don't try to close them. You share the information. You ask them what they like best. You take those notes because they're going to give you the information that you need to approach other people like them. You're going to ask for referrals. You're going to already have a legal pad with the names and with the numbers, name and phone number. You're going to let them see you right now the name and numbers. When they pause, they're thinking about their chicken list. You let them know what you're going to say because that's what they're scared of, that you're going to mess up their reputation. So you let them know what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. You're going to let them know that the exact same thing you did with them, you're going to do with them. The same thing you did with the person, you're going to do with them. So they know exactly what's being shared. And you're going to say, who's that person you're thinking about? And I promise you, if you can get someone to give you their chicken list, they'll give you everything. Right? Be smart. Who are your vendors? Who are the people who sell you things? How did you get this office? Who's the owner of this building? Where did you buy that Mercedes? Who else do you know who buys Mercedes Benz? Where'd you get that watch? Who tailors your clothes? Who provides the resources to build your business? Think. You're after their network. You're not after them. Don't be greedy. They're going to get the service. I promise you. They tell you all the things they like. You got them. Get their network. And it will, just like it did for me as an investment advisor, that 3,000 referrals fed my business for a decade. I never had to worry about where my next client was coming from. So I gave you 4 figures a game tonight. Better use it. All right, so we have an open house getting ready to take place in 17 minutes. You know, I arrive early. So I'm going to jump off of here in about 10 minutes so I can make sure I'm on there early. But before I do that, feedback or questions?
Yeah, I just want to give quick feedback. I do remember you going through the blues, the greens, and the reds. I was on that training, but I don't remember you getting as granular with the reds, obviously, as you did tonight, with a specific like script that you went through and just how that whole bit went through, and getting, I mean, all the way down to having like your legal pad and PM ready and everything. So this was fire. And this just added to my notes going into the new year. So thank you.
You're welcome. Crush it.
Yep,
We
I am.
we ain't going after the 50K ring, Miss Rogers. Okay. Now you know why I was like, when you told me I'm like 50K, Miss Rogers, you lost your mind. No, you are getting the
I
6-figure ring.
got it. I got it now.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually the lady that I spoke with today, who's actually I adopted as my mentor, she is a red.
There it is.
So I'm taking these notes. They're in my brain for our meeting next month.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yes, go after the red. Stop being scared. Any additional questions? I know I gave you a lot. You can go to YouTube and look up Juwan Buford 3,000 referrals. You have this, but that also is on YouTube as well, where I give you the breakdown also. I think it might even be a little bit more detailed than one I just did tonight. But either way, this is going to end up on our site. Go ahead, Mr. McDonald.
So I met a gentleman the other day in my travels. I didn't actually speak with him about any of the services or anything. I just he had a lot of land, and I ended up speaking with him. He actually has a pallet business, and like everything is right here by him and everything. I'm looking over there, and so I was just wondering like what would be the best approach to that.
What's his background again?
He builds pallets. They build pallets from scratch. Yeah, he has this huge, beautiful house, a bunch of land. He does a little gardening. He had a patch across the street with collard greens. He was doing cabbage, and he just had like a lot of different little projects going on out there. And I
how does he know you? How does he know you?
I was dropping off some stuff to his house, a package to his house, and I literally I was talking. We was just clicked into a conversation right then. And then so I left, and then I said, if I have to go back there, I'm just not going to miss this opportunity. I'm going to pull back up. So I went ahead and pulled back up and just asked him, I want to do some gardening. And I want to learn a little bit more about gardening and things. I see you have a bunch of different projects going on, and if you needed help. And he started talking. I guess he thought, I didn't know he had a pallet business that was like right behind the house. But he started talking about how he had 40 employees at the pallet business. It's been a little slow and everything, but invited me to come back to go hunting and to pick some collard greens for myself.
Good. So that means he likes you and he wants to help you. So my approach would be is I would go back to him and I would say, look, I'm so appreciative of what you shared with me. And, I'm interested in what you're doing, but I also recently made an investment. I'm getting ready to make a career change, right? And I need your help. I want to work with people. You're sharp, you're successful, you've done well for yourself, you've established yourself, and you're the type of individual whom I want to work with. If you don't mind, if I were to take 15, 20 minutes to share with you what it is I do. Would you be willing to give me your feedback to let me know whether or not this is a smart decision and something you think is valuable? Right?
Yeah.
And
I like
and
it. I like
99.9% of the time he's gonna say sure. Now he don't know he just let the wolf into the hen house.
Uh-huh.
And you're gonna sit down in front of him, you're gonna share the service. And hopefully you're gonna use some of the insights I shared with you tonight about how the service can be valuable to someone like him. But guess what? Guess what you have as an advantage? It's called a three-way call.
Hey man, I will be hitting you
With
up about
somebody that knows how to talk to multimillionaires and people who have billion-dollar portfolios. I'm not an academic, is what I do. I've been doing it for 20 years. So you can use a three-way call. If it gets choppy, the more than likely it's not going to get choppy because you're not asking for his money, so he ain't going to give you that hard of a time. And you just ask him what did he like best. He's going to give you all the information you need. And you're going to say, look, I need your help. You said it was valuable because of A, B, C, and D. Who do you know who could benefit from learning about this? Who would you like to help? What other people like you? People like you. And he, more than likely, because he likes you, he's going to refer you to people. And just use the same approach. Use the same script.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
I love it.
Okay. Be respectful of his time. Come early. Make sure he knows exactly what your approach is going to be.
Okay.
And get those referrals. And I'm telling you, 90% of the time when you head out the door and you didn't ask for his back pockets, he's going to ask you, hey, you want to share some additional information with me? I'm glad you asked. We can schedule a follow-up. Be more than happy. You've already sold him. So schedule the follow-up. Get myself, Mr. or Miss Schiller. Get somebody that can speak the language that's dealt with those type of people before.
Okay.
It doesn't just have to be me. You have Mr. and Miss Schiller. They are friends of our organization. Melissa Wilder, she and I know each other on first and last name. If you call up Miss Melissa Wilder and say Juwan Buford, she will help you.
All right. Miss Schiller.
Okay. So get individuals who speak that language to help you with that three-way call and help you with that presentation. And then you'll end up with him as a client. But guess what you could possibly end up with as well? The employees. The group.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great.
All right, got a couple more minutes. 3 minutes before I have to jump off here and get ready and clean up and look like I'm a professional. Any additional questions or feedback? I don't want to hear a bunch of stuff later on. Get your questions answered now. Going once.
I agree with Nicole. This was definitely fire. I have quite a few people that I want to connect with, and they are definitely Reds. So having this blueprint definitely helps me with regards to that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And thank Mr. Temple for continuing to needle me to do this, because I wasn't going to do it. I was like, man, I already recorded this. Y'all wasn't listening. You catch that L. Anyway.
Thank you.
All right, going once, going twice. If you are trying to figure out how to utilize this approach, get your questions answered now. Because once I get off here, I'm gonna be running like 100 miles per hour until next week.
Is the open house link in the chat? The Slack?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure so I can get on there.
Yeah. I sent it to some of the leaders earlier today, so they should have sent it to their team members, but it's in Slack.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'm about to jump off here, get ready for this open house. Let's rock it out. If y'all have not invited people to it, hey, you got 8 minutes to invite people right now to the open house tonight. And I'll see some of you on there. I celebrate success in advance. Look, rings, Ms. Webb, rings, Mr. Temple. I don't know which Michelle that is, but whoever you are, rings, Michelle. Rings, Ms. Johnson. Rings, Mr. McDowell. Rings, Ms. Moore. We are too capable. We're too able. We have too great of an opportunity for not at least 5, 6, 7 of us to be getting rings in 2024. So hopefully you see the vision. You got the belief. This helps you out. All right, everyone have a fantastic evening. Goodbye for now. Celebrate success in advance.